Hello everyone, and welcome to another WhatsApp demo. I'm quite excited about this one. It stems from a recent major feature upgrade, and it will basically demonstrate how evangelists can create public outreaches and get others to join those outreaches. And so it'll be the ability to basically share information from the same outreach, something that a few evangelist organizations have requested and has now been rolled out as part of the most recent release. I'm speaking now in April, so the release is 1.10.3 on the basically both on Apple and Google Play Store. So without further ado, let me demonstrate how that functionality works. So I will basically share my screen and just explain a little bit before we get started. I have on the screen basically simulation of two users, two different devices. On the left hand side, right here, I'm going to simulate basically an evangelist who is an employee of an evangelistic organization. He is an iPhone user. He goes out onto the street, and he will be the one who will be starting an outreach, and it'll be a public outreach. And on the right hand side, we have another evangelist, and he will be more an affiliate of the organization here to join the outreach, and he is an Android user, specifically Google Pixel device. Okay, so as to start us off, I will sign both of these users in. So first, the first evangelist, I'm just gonna use basically some test data here that I've pre-set up. So evangelist1 at, there we go. Okay, and then that's evangelist1. On the left hand side, brand new installation of WhatsApp, no outreaches so far, no encounters. And so let's do the same thing for the second user. So it'll be I'm just using here the Far Empire is just a test WhatsApp server. This is different than the whatsapp.org that is there in production just for testing purposes. Anyway, we have now logged both of our evangelists in. Both are starting with a brand new installation. On the left hand side we have iPhone installation. On the right hand side we have the Google Pixel user. And just to confirm both of these users, so evangelist one, in terms of their profile, they are part of the organization that I've set up again for testing purposes. The organization is called Street Evangelists, and this user is a staff member or an employee. They've consented to share their outreach and encounter information with the organization itself. So we'll be later looking at that part of the demo, how an owner of the organization here can then look at what has just happened. Similarly, I'll just do the same thing with the other evangelist as evangelist 2. Also part of the Street Evangelist organization, an affiliate. They have likewise consented to share information with their organization for purposes of analysis of data. So that's the setup. Again, 2 people, 2 evangelists, 1 iPhone user, 1 Google Pixel user. So to create a public outreach, we'll start by basically doing the same thing as we would create any other outreach. We will click New. Okay, now I will assume that this person on the left hand side, the employee evangelist, they have actually arrived at the location, right? So I've actually set up this iPhone as a simulation that this iPhone is physically located at Leicester Square, which is a square in London, at a location. So I will use the location services by clicking on this target button here, which will allow iPhone to locate itself where it thinks it is, and that is in Leicester Square at this location, at this slightly kind of northern corner of Leicester Square. Local time now is 1:01, April the 12th. I will say this is going to be a group outreach is quite important. All public outreaches have to be group outreaches. If you do select alone, you will not have the feature to make a public outreach. So I will create here group. And then that allows another option to show up, and that is the checkbox to make the outreach public so that others can join in. So we're going to go ahead and click that. We do get a pop-up just to confirm what is about to happen, and that is the explanation. You're about to make an outreach public. Others will be able to find and join this outreach by searching within a nearby area. Later we'll show how that looks like on the outreach dashboard, but basically the warning is to just make sure that the user creating public outreach is aware that others will be able to see the information that this user is going to be from now on creating about this outreach, including outreach information as well as encounters that are created within this outreach, and I'll demonstrate that as well. So anyone who joins will be able to see pretty much everything about this outreach. So I'll go ahead and confirm that. That's exactly what we're going to do. In terms of planned activity, let's say we're going to do some preaching. We are going to do some conversations. We're going to do some leafleting. There we go. Those are the 3 activities. No tag here. And I will say this is just a test outreach in the outreach remarks. And we're going to go ahead and start that. Okay, so now we have no longer a blank page. Now we have our first outreach. As is usual, we have the usual information on the dashboard about the outreach, the time, the location is Leicester Square. We have the group icon here. We have the icons that describe our activity that we've selected we're going to be doing. Weather has been automatically pulled up from the services that the app is connected with. So it's partially sunny, 13.5 Celsius. And importantly to note here about this public outreach is that this little icon with a little sort of signal coming out of it, it indicates that this outreach is now public, it's searchable, it's findable by anyone else who is searching for this outreach. And we'll just demonstrate now how that can be found out. And the other piece of information that is shown here is that for this user, they can see that so far no one has joined this outreach. This outreach has just started. No one else has been able to find it or join it. Okay, so that's our setup at the moment. We have an active public outreach. Okay, now we will demonstrate the fact that this affiliate, now an evangelist, comes in. They are, let's say they're traveling, or maybe they're on their way to get to Leicester Square. They know, they've been told maybe this going to be the time and the place. They don't know maybe exactly where it is. Maybe they're on their journey, but they're pulling up their app, and they say, "Look, I want to join this outreach now." Okay, so now we get a ability to search for this person. They'll be able to search for that outreach, kind of where it's located, where they can find it. So let's say they don't know exactly, they haven't been there yet, they haven't located the person setting up at the outreach. They'll say, "Look, I know it's somewhere in Leicester Square." So let's type that out. I think that's in Westminster, London, Leicester Square. There we go. So we're not using location services. We're using basically just typing the location out and looking to find it. Now by default, the little map thing is put that location just slightly on the eastern side of the Leicester Square. So not exactly where that outreach is, but that should be fine. Now we can click find. And there we go. The app has actually located that there is an outreach very close by with this. So this is the blue little location marker is where the address was by default when the person was looking for it, and the green marker is where the outreach is located. And we can actually tap in between these two on the screen on the app, and it will say to us, if we tap on the green one, give us information about, hey, there is an outreach. It started 101. It was organized by street evangelists. They're doing preaching, conversations, and leafleting. And there's remarks here, just something about the outreach, test outreach, which is exactly what we've what we said before. So this person says, yeah, that's exactly what I knew was going to happen, what I was expecting to do. Just go ahead and join. Now again, the user will be just given again before the outreach is joined. This is the confirmation pop-up saying, look, if when you join, you will be able to both see others' information that they enter, as well as you'll be now sharing any information that you enter. Now any encounters that you enter as part of the outreach, it works both ways. What you enter will be visible by others. What others enter will be visible to you. As long as you're happy with that, please go ahead and join it. Just also a final here message, and which I'll demonstrate as well, that any outreaches the person joins, they'll not be able to edit it because they're not the ones who created it. So only the creator of the outreach can always edit the outreach. Anyone who joins, they can only view information about that outreach. So go ahead and confirm that. There we go. We just got the confirmation. We've joined an existing outreach. And so now this person is seeing that outreach and information. It's exactly the same information that we've seen on the left when the person created it. And we have also confirmation here, public, you joined. Now this person on the original person who created the outreach, they can actually refresh, click on the little refresh button, and they can see, there we go. I have one person that has now joined this outreach. And there we go. So now we have connected the two sides there. Let's assume they have now the person on the right, the affiliate, the evangelist, has arrived at the location. Outreach is now in progress. And let's say the encounters are happening, conversations are happening, preaching is happening. So let's assume now that both the organizer and the new arrival want to record now encounters. Let's demonstrate how that would be done. And just before we do that, just by the way, again, just one slight difference is that the organizer, as I said, they have the edit capability of the outreach, whereas the person who's just joined, they have the view icon, the eye icon, so they can see the outreach information in detail. They cannot change anything about this outreach. So we'll just go back. What they can do, however, is they can click on this little broken link. That is the ability that if chosen, if clicked on, this person can actually unlink and create this outreach, just make it private. That is the ability that is included here, just in case something were to happen where they, for some reason or another, whatever encounters have entered, whatever the ability is, like they just suddenly want to just make that private. They don't want to share this anymore. So if that user wants to do that, there's the ability to unlink that, and that makes that outreach, all the details are still the same, but that will make that outreach fully private, and no longer the information will be shared either way. But we'll not do that now. I will just go back. We'll assume that the person is now part of this outreach. So let's assume now the organizer has had an encounter. We'll just enter some test data with someone coming in, let's say young adult, agnostic. They've not been encountered previously. They are, let's say, a bit interested in what's happening. Let's say they took some tracts. I would just say this is a test encounter. And we will go ahead and add that. There we go. Now the organizer has entered the encounter. That's visible to them. As usually with any other encounters, that's editable for them. They can go back and edit anything about that. They can manage that. The person who's joined, let's say they look at their phone, they just click on the refresh, and they can now see this encounter has happened. Now this encounter is different for them, just slightly appears differently. I mean, the information here is the same exactly, but there's a little icon, that little chain icon that shows a link. This is not their encounter, this is an encounter that someone else has entered. And instead of an edit icon, again, there's an eye icon here, so they can view information about that encounter pretty much in full detail, but they cannot edit that. Again, this is not their encounter, this is someone else's encounter, but they can see exactly what has happened about that encounter. So that's the information so that's being shared. Now let's say the this person has now had an encounter of their own, part of the same outreach. They go ahead and say, let's say this is now with a female, black, middle age. Let's say this is now a Christian Catholic, let's say, skeptical, none. So another test. And they go ahead and add. So now they've created an encounter that was their own. So they would see that as their own encounter with full edit capability. Now, if the organizer comes in, they click a refresh, they will actually see that encounter now, but with an eye icon here instead of a full edit capability. So they will be able to again see the details of that encounter. They wouldn't be able to edit it because it's not their own. But you can see how this sort of works. Both parties, they can see everything that's going on here, all the encounters that are happening, everything, all the information is shared. It's just the guarding of the edit capability and management of data, just to make sure that all owners have the edit rights. No one else does, even though the information is shared. Now what we can do here in terms of demonstrating, so if someone wants to, let's say the organizer wants to share, let's say the outreach is now completed, we'll want to write up a report, want to share that on social media. We can do that a number of different ways. We can do that basically by clicking on this little magic icon here. There's multiple ways to generate information about the outreach. 3 different options exist now. The non-AI option allows to list all the encounter descriptions as they appear without any further modifications. And we have 2 AI options. One that is kind of a short summary of what has happened, which will summarize the outreach details, like what like the temperature and what's going on in the outreach, plus all the encounters, and then a little bit of a longer summary where just tries to basically lay out everything, all the details about the outreach. But let's go to the non-AI option. Let's say generate. So basically what the application now done is taken the encounter descriptions, put it here for us. We can modify that if we want to, put some introduction text or whatever it is, or we can just say copy to clipboard. That's copied. Now we can just switch, let's say, to WhatsApp or to Telegram or whatever it is, to our email, and just paste that information, and that will then be shared exactly as it's shown here. That's available to the outreach organizer. That's the same thing is available to the person who's joined. They might decide to share that with someone else, another Christian, just to share what's been going on, so they can do the same exact thing, and they will get the exact same text. So both evangelists can do exactly the same thing. Okay, so we just gone through the ability to create the outreach, to create the encounters, to share those. We'll see those. Now let's say we want to see some charts and some statistics about that. On both sides, we'll see that pretty much is the same. Both evangelists will see that there's one outreach and there's one encounter that they're seeing for themselves, which is their own encounter. So the idea is that everyone can see basically their own data. They won't be able to see someone else's data. So this application will be able to just provide them with that their own basically view of what they've done. Even though there are 2 encounters basically on this outreach, they'll only be able to, for their own statistical purposes, for their own tracking, it is really just one encounter that they've entered as part of that outreach. Now let's say, let's demonstrate now. So let's say that is, and obviously all the other statistics will display here as per the usual. Now let's say the organizer comes in of the Street Evangelists organization. They approach from a website perspective. So I will just show how that works. Let me just put the website on the screen. There we go. I'm just moving the browser. Let's say I'm just refreshing here. So this is just imagine this is WhatsApp as the website. Again, this is just a test website for the Far Empire test server that we're using for the WhatsApp application. Let's say they log on to the home page, they navigate to the Insights tab. This is the kind of the default view. This shows everything, all the activity across all organizations, across all evangelists. Obviously, there's a lot here in terms of test data. That's a bit because they're organization owner for Street Evangelists organization. They enter their PIN here, they log in, and here we go. Now what they see as an organization owner is actually they see, yes, there was one outreach, but there were two encounters, because they have that sort of eagle's eye view across the organization, both across the person who created the outreach as well as the person who then joined it. They're able to see both of those encounters. They can go ahead and proceed and export that into a report, and they'll see the information about both of those encounters in either as Excel or Word file format. They'll be emailed to them, to their email address. Likewise, if I go back to the two evangelists, they likewise have the ability to export their data. That will be just the one outreach and one encounter that they'll see, that the information that they're able to, basically their own information they're able to export. Hopefully that was useful. That shows you how public outreaches work, how one can create a public outreach, how someone can join a public outreach. Now, in terms of some parameters to make everyone aware of, and that is that this little signal here, the outreach is discoverable up to 24 hours after the start of the outreach. So whenever the outreach is scheduled to start, from 24 hours from that point on, the outreach is still discoverable. Someone can come in and join, and that's just because a lot of times people will just have the outreach and later come back and enter the details. They might not be able to, maybe let's say that they don't have a signal while they're out on the street, or maybe it's too cold, they don't want to be fiddling around with their phones out there on the street. They kind of memorize like everything that they've done. Maybe they've jotted down a notebook and then come home and then just joined that outreach, and they can do that fine. That's perfectly fine offline. The other thing is that discoverability of the outreach is currently set to within half a kilometer or 500 meters from the location that is being searched. So we've shown kind of Leicester Square, where the outreach was on one corner, and the person who was sort of looking for the location was maybe just a few meters, maybe less than 100 meters away, and that can be discoverable even if the person was coming and entering an address within 500 meters. That will be able to still see where that outreach is on the map. Again, those parameters maybe will tweak over time, but at the moment that seems to be what's making sense. So again, 24 hours since the start of the outreach, that outreach will be discoverable, and as long as the person is searching for that outreach within 500 meters, they'll be able to discover and join it. After the 24 hours, the little sort of signal icon just changes to a normal sort of icon indicating outreach is no longer discoverable. Data still stays as is, exactly how it appears here. Okay, well, let me close it here. Hopefully this was useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to just ping a note to support@whatsapp.org, and I'll be happy to answer that. Okay, hope you find that useful. Thank you.